So for more on this, let's welcome in Ariel Helwani, ESPN MMA reporter and host of Ariel and the Bad Guy. Now, Ariel, let me ask you, what are we learning about this incident from Conor McGregor and his people, and what comes of this for him?
As of right now, Ryan, his team isn't saying much. I spoke to a representative for his lawyer, and she said that he is cooperating. Conor McGregor is cooperating with the authorities, and they acknowledge that a minor altercation took place. But other than that, they're not saying much. Conor, as you mentioned, went on Instagram. I did speak to sources close to Conor who said that he's in relatively good spirits and understands what has happened. This is obviously an issue that happens to celebrities and athletes on a daily basis, an issue that athletes of yesteryear did not have to deal with. So we'll see how the process plays out. But neither his team nor the UFC at this point are saying much.
And we know he had those charges not long ago, that plea deal that he had. Does this at all affect that? Will that affect what happens here?
The good news for Conor is this will not affect the incident that you spoke about that happened almost exactly a year ago in Brooklyn, New York. In fact, he just finished up the terms of his probation. Less than 2 weeks ago, he had to clean up some churches in Brooklyn, had to do some community service. So according to a source that I spoke to at the NYPD, that case is closed. So what happened early Monday morning in Miami will not affect anything that happened in New York. Two separate cases. He is not in more trouble now, so to speak, in the state of New York.
How is the UFC and fans in the UFC responding to this?
Well, if precedent is any lesson, the UFC isn't going to do much here. They do have a code of conduct, but what happened in Brooklyn last year was way more serious because employees and fighters were injured as a result of that attack, and they essentially did nothing. They said that we are going to leave this up to the local authorities. In this particular case, as I mentioned, they have yet to discuss or at least publicly comment on the situation, but I don't expect them to do much. As you mentioned, he is still serving that suspension. The hope is that he can return in the summer. They haven't finalized his next fight yet, but I don't expect this situation to preclude him from returning or even delay him from returning later on this year.
And we all know he's a cult of personality. People love his feisty attitude. People love this stuff. But I have to ask, is there a point where UFC fans look at this and say, you know what, this guy, he's crossing the line? Or is this, hey, this is the kind of guy we like?
I sense a bit of both at this point. I sense some fans who say, look, you haven't won a fight since late 2016. I sense some other fans who are loyal to him to a fault and will stick by their guy because he's the kind of guy that you want to get behind. And as you mentioned, he is a cult of personality. He is the kind of, cult-like figure in the sport. In fact, our own network named him the 5th most popular athlete in the entire world today. So he is still a megastar, and I think some people are always going to back him. And in this particular case, I think some even sympathize with him. So I don't view his stock dropping as a result of this incident. But yes, there is definitely a sector of the fan base who says, okay, enough already. We want to see you fight, and we want to see you start winning again as well.